The following public service program is brought to you by the Metropolitan Library System. And now, Read About It with your host, B.J. Williams.
We have a great show for you today, including a talk with Amy D. Stevens about her book on the Oklahoma City Zoo. But first, a couple of weeks ago, Lynn Welford was here in town, and she dropped by the studio to talk about rock painting for everyone. Lynn Welford is from Arkansas. She paints rocks and she writes books, and both of them actually don't sound quite as exciting as the actual thing is. When I first heard she paints rocks, I thought of immediately the pet rock phenomenon many years ago, but you're really doing something that is really intriguing and something that would enhance any home.
Well, I guess what I'm trying to do is find a use for every rock there is. But one of the things that I do is I bring an artist's eye to rocks. If you think about the different surfaces that artists paint on, canvas and wood, rock is a pretty natural candidate. Mm-hmm. What makes it different from painting on flat surfaces is that you've got the shape of the rock, which gives you kind of a shortcut to good results. But it's, probably man's oldest art form. Mm-hmm. we still can admire the paintings that were done on caves, how many thousands of years
35, 45,000
Yeah, so that's what
ago.
I tell people, that their rock art might just be admired by their ancestors. You just never know.
Well, I would imagine that one of the first things you have to do is select the right rock then.
Yeah, and do you remember looking at clouds when you were a kid and
Yes.
seeing things in them? Mm-hmm. Well, the same muscle that was at work there is what you use to see things in rocks. And with all of my books, I always start off with some very simple ones, some very basic shapes, like a ladybug. Mm-hmm. Well, anybody knows that a ladybug is round and kind of dome-shaped. Mm-hmm. If you find a rock like that and you can transform it into a ladybug, even people who feel like they have no talent at all, that don't feel artistic at all, if they do something like that and they have success with it, then they say, oh, maybe I'm better at this than I thought. And then they might try a frog, and then they might try a turtle, and before you know it, they have gotten past that whole I can't paint or I'm not artistic, and they just are doing it. And I always tell people it's kind of like Dumbo's feather. Sometimes you have convinced yourself you don't have any talent or you don't have any ability, but if you have the desire to do something, you probably have some buried talent that you just haven't found a way to nurture. And rocks are a great way to do it.
Well, I noticed that you did start out, and I found that very, very helpful. Start with very basic painting techniques, and obviously there's particularly with your fruit, I was impressed with the number of layers of paint. Right. At least I'm aware that you have to put in lots of layers of paint.
Well,
on
you
these
could,
things.
or you could do something more stylized. There are a lot of different ways, and there's, one of the things when I do programs, I say there's not a right or a wrong way to do art. Isn't that neat? Because there certainly is a right or wrong way to balance your checkbook, but there's not a right or a wrong way. You just have to please yourself, and you'll learn so much by doing it wrong the first time. So a lot of my work is in encouraging people that they don't have to do it perfect the first time. They can allow themselves to play and have fun with the process, and they'll learn so much more. If you watch the way kids learn, they just plunge in, and they're not afraid to make mistakes, and they're not afraid to fall down, because they know that that's the shortcut, that's the quickest route to learning something. I don't know what happens with adults, that we just are so fearful that if we do it, it's not perfect. If it's not a masterpiece the first time, they're a failure.
Yeah. Well, now your latest book is Rock Painting Fun for Everyone. You've written a number of other books, and I'm always curious, you have this great skill and tremendous knowledge that you've gained over years and years. How do you sit down and translate that into words and pictures for a book?
Well, I think there's definitely an organic process to any writer's career, and certainly with mine. When I did my first book back in 1994, I thought I was going to tell everything I knew about rock painting with that book. But it was so successful that my publisher kept saying, well, don't you want to do another one? And I thought, oh, maybe I could think of something else. And that door, once it swung open, it was just like an avalanche, and ideas keep coming. The way that this last book came about is that I had done a book just specifically for kids, and I had a lot of people write and say, why did you say it was just for kids? I love painting the projects in that book. And I thought, well, obviously there is a need for really simple, basic things that are maybe a little bit more adult-oriented, and so that's what I did. I kind of based this one on very easy, accessible projects, but maybe something that would be more fun for an adult than painting a car or
well, that depends on the adult, I would think.
Well, and I'm just a big kid myself, so I always have to guess what would adults really want.
Right. Well, I found it very helpful in looking through the book that it was projects. I believe the first one in there is painting butterflies. I appreciated very much the fact that you did have, well, you can do it very stylized, that's not very lifelike, or here is what you do if you want to do something that does look more like a real butterfly.
Right, and that's kind of the step-by-step process that I'll use. I try to get people in the door and get them set down and give them a brush and try something easy, take the fear out of it. So I say, if you can do this really easy one, then you might want to try something a little bit more advanced. And I've had so many people write and say, you have changed my life. I feel like an Amway salesman sometimes. Because so often they have just concluded early on that they didn't have any talent. And one of the things I like to tell people is that there are daffodils and there are mums, and you wouldn't say that one flower is better than the other. And when it comes to people accessing their abilities, some people get nurtured and get a lot of exposure to art early, and so they may be early bloomers. But if you didn't, or if your hand-eye coordination didn't kick in early, that doesn't mean you don't have talent. It just means you didn't get nurtured, or there wasn't time for it. But you can always go back and do it.
Oh. Now, do you start out with, you line up your projects when you're writing a book, you're saying, I want to do these projects. Do you write the text and then look for the photographs?
No, I always start with the project. I'll think, what would be fun? Because I really, even this one is called Rock Painting Fun, but really it's my criteria for everything I do. It has to be fun. So I will think, well, what would be fun that I haven't done? What's colorful? What's appealing? And I'll start sifting through a lot of different ideas. I'll look at, I'm open. When I'm thinking about writing, I've got my radar up and it's scanning for ideas. And I'll usually come up with a big long list, and then I'll kind of check through and see which ones are the ones that turn me on the most. And then those are the ones that I'll go with. And I will paint several examples of each thing first to make sure that I like, that I'm having fun. And then if it passes all that criteria, then I will actually, like right now I'm working on a book of painted garden art. Well, I'm having to paint the pieces and get them out so I can take my beauty shots now, because I better do it while the sun is shining and things are pretty and green. And then I will go back and do my step-by-step shots, and then I will write the text using my step-by-step shots to help me to remember. I take notes as I do my photography, but by looking at the pictures, I kind of do my captions and then do my text. So it's kind of, I don't know, I may be doing it backwards,
If it works.
It works.
I think we have to go back to the different kinds of flowers. Everybody has their own approach to that. But yeah, I found the photographs helped tremendously, but the text was also very clear, and it was easy to understand. You get into some books and you think, I think they left some of it out.
Yeah, there is an art to writing how to, and it's funny because I love words, and I've always wanted to be a writer, and I thought I wanted to be a novelist, but it turns out that this is, that was really hard for me, and this is really easy, and I guess you better pay attention to things like that.
Right. Well, I want to thank you so much, Lynn, for being with us.
Thank you, BJ.
Lynn Welford has been here. She's been telling us about her books on rock painting. The most recent one is Rock Painting Fun for Everyone. You can find all of these books at your library and your favorite bookstore. Kelly Ria is with me again today, and I'm going to tell her about some of the books I have been looking at that you can check out at your library. This first one is called The Smaller Home, Creating the Perfect Fit. Now, most people worry about creating fit in clothing or in the bicycle. If they're into sports or something, they want their gloves to fit or their equipment to fit. Very few of us actually think about the idea of making our home fit us. But the author, Dan Sater II, is president and CEO of the Sater Companies. He's also a professional member of the American Institute of Building Design. That's not exactly an architect, but he talks about in this book how to make your home fit you. one segment, he's talking about a client who wanted an 18-foot wide bedroom, absolutely insisted on an 18-foot wide bedroom. So he got out his paper and he drew an 18-foot wide bedroom, and he said, okay, here's your queen bed, this is where it's going to go. You're going to need a 42-inch TV if you want to see it from the bed. Maybe a smaller bedroom would work. So they actually reduced the width of the bedroom the clients wanted by 4 feet. That saves a lot of money when you're talking about, $100, $200 a square foot to build. That can mean quite a bit. This is a book, I think, mostly for people who actually are getting ready to custom build or want to do a remodel of their home. Although, if you're not prepared to spend that kind of money, it can still give you some ideas on how to make a room function for more than one thing. You don't have to have a separate room for a dining room and a separate room for your sewing and a separate room for TV watching.
If you have a smaller home, it's important to have choices about how you can lay out the furniture to get the most out of your space.
And he does spend a fair amount of time on storage issues, both the built-in kind and also the kinds of furniture that you can get that will dual use. I mean, lots of people now want an ottoman for a coffee table because they can put stuff in it. So, an interesting book if you want to upgrade your home in any way. And speaking of upgrading, I understand the most important thing you can do to raise the actual value of your home is to remodel your kitchen. Not something to be undertaken lightly.
No.
But one of the books that could help you with this, at least let you know what you're getting into, is the Sunset Ideas for Great Kitchens.
Sunset has great books.
Great books. It does have information at the back on the different kinds of appliances and all the options that you have available. Also a little bit of talk about how to find a contractor and that sort of thing. Again, you're talking about living without a kitchen for at least 2 to 4 months. So
That's a lot of takeout.
Yes, it is. And if you've got kids in the house, that's,
Nearly impossible.
Right. You want to think about it very, very clearly first. But these books can be checked out at your library. And coming up next, we have Doug Benton talking with Kim Edwards about one of the CDs that you can check out at your library.
Hi, everybody. I'm here with Kim Edwards from the Downtown Library. Kim, thanks for coming by.
Thanks for having me by.
Oh, always glad to have you come by. Kim is our resident expert on popular music forms. Did you know that?
I didn't know that.
Oh, well, there you go.
No.
There's another line on your resume. What band did you bring to tell us about today?
Okay, I brought the CD Songs About Jane by the band Maroon 5. This is a fairly new band. They've been around, actually. They started when they were like 17 years old, and so that was like about 6 or 7 years ago. But this CD is just one of the best CDs. I listen to this. This is my CD. We have it in the system, but this is my CD. And I listen to it all the time, all the way through. And that's a rarity for me to listen to a CD all the way through. Maroon 5 is a band that started off, their name were Kara's Flowers, and they were more influenced by the Beatles and Bob Dylan and Simon and Garfunkel. And when they got older and they moved away to college, they reformed the band into Maroon 5, and they were more influenced by groups like Stevie Wonder. And they started listening to different types of music, rap with Biggie Smalls and Jay-Z and Missy Elliott. And so when they came out with Songs About Jane, which is their first album under Maroon 5, they have a more funk, R&B, contemporary soul feel to it. And it's really, like I said, it's like one of the best albums I have ever heard. And like I said, it's just, every single song on it is really good.
Okay, now I have been advised for years to play that funky music, but I honestly, it's the word that I hear a lot to describe a certain kind of music, but I don't really know what funk is. I'm befuddled.
Well, it's, for me, growing up and listening to groups like Parliament and Earth, Wind and Fire, that it has a lot of bass line in it, a lot of drums. Is not the classical soul that you're used to. It's soul, but it's more dance music, and it's more, like I said, it just have more of a certain beat to it with the bass and the drums. But and Maroon 5 really captures that with the lead singer's vocals, with the drums, with the bass sound, with even the piano, and also funk also has that in it. But it's, I don't know. I tried.
That's very helpful. I mean, that does help. That helps define what the music is. We got to go. I would like to talk with you some more about this, but
Sure.
we've got to quit. You'll come back?
I will come back.
You'll talk to me some more? You'll educate me?
Sure, I'll talk to you.
You can
Doug.
try.
Somebody
Okay.
has to.
Thanks, Kim. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you again soon.
Again with me is Kelly Rhea, and Kelly, this time you've been reading.
I have. I'm reading the Oklahoma Reads Oklahoma list, and this one is called Fire in Beulah. You want to leave yourself not a day to read it because it's a full lifetime of stories. It starts out in the 20s with. The first chapter is actually very grueling. Now, it will pull you through because it's written so well, but it is about a very poor family, and the mother of this very poor family is in labor, and she has several girls, and a black lady comes in to help her deliver, but it just pulls you all the way through, and it's not a light read, so it's very emotional, and I think that people will really enjoy it. It's historical fiction, goes into the Tulsa race riots, so there's a lot of the racism issues that are addressed. It's not, I just caution anyone if they think it's light reading.
It's not something that you really want to get a big jug of iced tea and go sit out under a tree and read. It's not that kind of thing.
Well, I have to say the heat is oppressive outside, and as I read yesterday in the oppressive heat, it really put me in the theme of the book because it's hot, it's Oklahoma, it's the 20s, and when the maid needed to do laundry, well, I had to go change the laundry, so that worked out pretty well. I was feeling kind of parallel, but yeah, it's very intense. There's light moments in it. Some of the characters, of course, are lighter and more frivolous, but that only makes the heavier characters more serious and intense. And you actually walk away after reading this with some very some good insight.
Well, now, Rilla Askew, the author, actually has won the Oklahoma Book Awards. She doesn't live in Oklahoma right now, but she is an Oklahoma writer. And I think that may be one of the books that she won a book award for. But now, the Oklahoma Reads Oklahoma, you've got what? There's 6 books. You're going to be busy for a while.
I am.
You?
Prairie City by Angie Debo is probably the next one that I'll read. Gosh, I wish that I could remember the other 3.
Well, it's you can go to the website okreadsok.org, and it has all 6 of the books, and you'll get a chance to vote come September and October to pick the book that's going to be featured next year. So you'll be ready to vote here in another few weeks.
I
won't
will.
you?
I'm really excited. I promise I'll have to keep my reading list up, but it's really worthwhile to read Fire in Beulah.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Kelly.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Donna Morris, Executive Director of the Metropolitan Library System. 2007 will mark Oklahoma's centennial year. 100 years is a long time, but public libraries have been part of this community since the very beginning. And we're still exactly the same as we've been all